Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Hey, welcome everybody to Boogeyman Radio. I'm David.
And I'm Charles.
And we have a pretty cool location that we are streaming from today.
Yes.
Where are we at, Charles?
We are at Malvern Manor. We've been here for, I guess since yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday. We got here yesterday. It was, man. I'm just going to say it. I cannot wait for you guys to see the vlog. I'm not going to talk about that's pretty much it. We had some interesting things happen, so I cannot wait for you guys to see the vlog. So
that's right. We did some vlogging last night. Tried couple new pieces of equipment from Supernatural Inc. KD Stafford and Katie Stafford. I know it sounds like it just a double, name.
It is.
Thing, but it's whatever. That's what it is. But yeah, we tried some new pieces of equipment. Had an amazing experience, and we can't wait to share that with you on our vlog. So keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks. But yeah, even outside of last night, even today, when we're just all hanging around, you, me, Josh.
Yeah.
Just hanging around, we had some things happen. We can talk about that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. We've had some weird audible noises, kind of like. I think we were in the kitchen. Didn't we hear a breath? Or something like that at the same time.
Yeah, like you were standing to my right. I thought it was you, but I was looking at Josh, and I saw Josh react, and then you said, "What? That wasn't you?" And I just looked at you, and I'm like, "Okay, so if that wasn't you,
it was something." And of course, we don't have equipment rolling because we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
So it's not actually captured, but little something. We are going to be investigating tonight.
Yes, we will
afterwards. So there's no After Dark tonight.
No After Dark.
So we're going to have actual investigation. Last night, we didn't really investigate a lot. We were just really tired from the drive.
Yeah.
So today we just hung out with Josh. Dave's going to do did some B-roll filming for the documentary for Malvern, which good times. Ready for that.
Yeah, nobody knows that I was filming that, but
yeah.
Now they do.
Well, I thought you'd already announced that.
No, I didn't.
Well, fantastic.
So there it is, guys. I'm up here in Malvern filming a documentary. It's going to be cool. Can't really say what we're shooting exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different, and but it does revolve around Malvern Manor.
Way to give it away.
But I did have my own experience here. I was live, just kind of doing a social experiment on TikTok, just so I could show Josh what the figures would look like.
Oh yeah.
Did a 30-minute live back in the nursing home wing, which, by the way, the haunted doll is still back there.
Oh, it is?
It is. It's still back there.
Fantastic.
I put a camera on the haunted doll, let it run, and we just let people watch and stuff like that. But at the end of the 30 minutes, I went back there. We shut that door, sort of. Josh kind of let it rest against the door frame. So I'm walking back there, and I reach out, and I actually have my fingers on the doorknob, and the door pulls away and shuts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, I was befuddled a little bit. I tried to make sense of it. I'm like, there's no vacuum being created inside that area.
Right, and Josh and I were just sitting here in the chairs, just hanging out, so it couldn't have been us doing anything. So we were like, what the heck, Dave? What's the matter?
Yeah, I'm like...
he just instantly reacted to what happened, so we knew that something had happened.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, I will say. Never had that happen. I've had a doorknob kind of shake while I grabbed it, but never had the door pull away from me.
I gotta say, the way the camera is, it looks like you have a tiny head and a big hand. Just looks, it's just funny. You'll see it there, guys. Illuminati, look at that. What's up, Lori? Good to see you, Kelly. And then last night when you were asleep, I had a couple of interesting things happen too. I had the footstep on the staircase because I could hear the compression of the wood of going up the stairs. That was like right when I laid down to go to sleep. And then I had what sounded like something like either move the cover or hit the cover that is right behind Dave to the left. And it was just, I don't know. It was just kind of weird. And I didn't feel like investigating because I was tired. So I just slept it off, called it good. But I'm sure something. Like it's been
pretty active.
It's been pretty active. And I gotta say, the moment we got here, I feel drained.
Yeah.
I just feel tired and drained. So I don't know if it's this place affect me or I'm just getting old. It could be both.
Mixture both is very, very good possibility.
Who knows? But it's going to be a great time. I'm excited for the investigation. So aside from that, how was your week?
I just worked.
Worked?
Hey, quick announcement. If you didn't know, I quit my job.
Hey! Dave's a free man.
Sort of.
Kind of.
I quit my job and I went out to Branson. Worked with my brother for a little bit. Then while I was out there, I called Josh and made the arrangements. Come Monday, we hauled ass up here, and here we are. Just short notice.
Pretty much.
Gonna be up here. Well, you'll be up here till Thursday.
Thursday, then I'm leaving. Yeah.
And I'll be up here till Friday. But
so far, the weather looks like it's gonna be okay. So.
Oh yeah.
I was a little worried because I know there was they were calling for a possible system rolling through as far as like some snow or whatever, but I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna hit.
I'm trying to think, and for me, I'm pretty sure my work just hates me because I'm taking so much time off.
Probably now they're like, why isn't he back yet?
Right, like, geez, no, I mean, it's the beginning of our
vacation?
slow seasons. They're gonna cut people anyways, and they have people to fill my position. Why not?
You're alleviating the budget.
Yes,
so.
I'm helping my work by not being there.
Yeah,
by also helping myself. So it's been a nice couple weekends. I mean, New Year's was nice. Didn't really do it. I guess we had a show since then. I'm trying to think anything else that might have happened, but really not a lot. You called me. What was it? Thursday or Friday? It was Wednesday. You called me Wednesday and was like, "Hey, you want to go to Malvern with me for a week?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." I can't say yes fast enough, of course.
Yeah.
But I had to request off of my work to make sure it was okay. And my boss publishes the schedule Thursday, so it was like I got to talk to her like right now. So thankfully, she was understanding in what we're doing. And
David Strong called me up, saying, "Hey, you want to go?"
Right.
And I was like, "All right, go check with the boss."
Yeah.
So,
Literally, that's how it is.
It was how it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Glad we're up here. I'm having a great time up here, honestly.
Oh, me too. It's been a lot of fun.
But tonight, guys, this topic has been on the docket for a couple weeks now.
At least.
We put it off a couple times because we didn't realize, we forgot that we were going to do the profits and predictions, and then we forgot and did something else. Oh no, we had Justin on. We had Spurrier on. Did a little interview with him. But tonight we are talking about the Betz sphere. Kind of also known as the mystery sphere.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this is a well talked about mysterious object that was found back in the 70s. And we're going to discuss it tonight. We're going to read some, show you guys some photos and whatnot. It's a fascinating story. It's a very fascinating story.
Absolutely.
So it's one you definitely want to get kind of strapped in for.
I'm going to apologize now, too. I'm certainly apologizing. I want to let you guys know. If I look this way and I'm looking like this, it's because I'm reading something. So I can't be looking at the camera all the time. My laptop's over here where all the info is. But
well, they're used to it. We know. We never stare into the eyes of the viewer.
Heather's never heard of it. Chris Thurman loves the Betz sphere. Yeah. So it would be a great show.
Before we get started, guys, real quick, if you would like to help support the show, support this channel, you can sign up for our patreon.com/Boogeyman Radio. That subscription there, you get extra content. You get the After Dark show, announcements and things like that you get early. So if you would love to support the channel, go to patreon.com/Boogeyman Radio and become a patron member. Help support the channel, help support us, and keeps us doing what we're doing, like these vlogs and stuff like that.
Yes.
We got that coming as well as some new videos. So that'll there's that. And also, if you go to hauntinghistory.threadless.com, you can get yourself a Boogeyman Radio shirt or something like this. It's not paranormal; it's paratainment. Get a shirt, rock it. If you do, send us a picture on our Facebook page, and we'll put your picture up, give you a shout out right here on the show. So,
oh yeah, we do.
It's
Yeah,
another
that's
way
right.
you can help support us.
Speaking of that, where's our lifelong supporters that haven't done that yet? Sent us pictures of their Paris swag that we
Yeah. I know some of you watching have got Paris swag, some of our Boogeyman swag, and haven't sent us a picture.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But in due time.
Checking out this.
Yeah, that's actually
What
one
about
of
Sphere
them. I'm going to be.
or something?
I'm going to be talking. When I read about the X-rays, I'll be reading from Astonishing Legends. So I pulled off the images so we can go through that kind of step by step of what the images show and show you what's inside the sphere.
What's what? But before we show you what's inside, let's take a walk down memory lane and go from the beginning.
Yes.
Okay. So the history of this discovery came at the end of March of 1974. A series of fires broke out in the Florida woods near Jacksonville. The prerequisites for the occurrence of the fire were not established, and the reasons for the extinction of the fire are unclear. Okay, so let's set that boundary up. That sets up this find. The local authorities did not have time to take special measures. It seemed like the fire, which had destroyed almost 90 acres of forest, had subsided as if it was done by itself. And then on March 26th, the Betz family went to assess the damage that was caused to them and their land, which lay in the fire zone. Studying the charred remains of trees, people came across the Betz family came across a relatively small ball made of metal. Its diameter, as it was established later, reached 20 centimeters, which is about 8 inches in diameter, and weighed about 21.3 pounds. So it was a little bit smaller than a bowling ball, but heavier than a bowling ball. Beautiful. The sphere was solid with no cleavage seams, so there was no seams. Like if this ball was made in a factory or something,
Yes.
They would either, cast a mold and it would have seams on it that would go around its equator or whatever. There'd be two parts,
Yeah.
and put together because this thing was filled.
Yeah, we're saying like to a scale of perfection that Terminator 2 would be impressed.
Yes. So there were no dents that were found on the ball, which seemed to be formed, which would have been formed during the fall.
Right.
And the sphere seemed to have nowhere else to come from.
Yeah.
The only thing that could be considered defect was a tiny 3 millimeter long triangle pressed into the metal.
Yeah.
So it had a marking.
Which, kind of funny enough, they were thinking at first that it could have been like a bowling ball that was just painted silver, but like once you look at it and really study it,
No finger
how would you?
holes.
Yeah, and plus, what bowling balls are metal?
Mhm.
Cheating.
Exactly.
Like
I'm going to destroy these pins.
right. Come on now.
The
Or a bowling ball or a cannonball, either one.
I would have suspected a cannonball, but
Yeah.
most cannonballs are what, like
They're very
4 to 5
coarse
inches.
too. They're very you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like having an avocado in your
Yeah.
hand.
They're not
Texture.
just completely smooth.
Yeah.
They didn't have that perfection back in the Civil War.
No. So the family was surprised by the fact that the ball was completely uninjured in the fire, although it was the very epicenter of it.
Mm-hmm.
The head of the family, Antoine, his wife Jerry, and Terry, and Terry's son Matthew, had a little argument about the origin of the sphere. At first, they thought that it was some kind of device belonging to NASA. Being in Florida, you know,
Right,
Cape
makes sense.
Canaveral,
Yeah.
stuff like that, makes sense.
Because I'm sure by the 70s there were all sorts of weird things flying through the sky that
Well,
you never know what it was coming from.
you know, I was watching. There's a show where people died for shipwrecks and stuff like that, and
True.
down in Florida off the coast, and they discovered this piece of debris that was down there, and it turned out to be part of the Challenger, the one that blew up.
Oh wow!
Supposedly they had recovered a ton of it, but they still have a lot of it that they haven't.
So
recovered.
that was the Challenger. That I
found
remember
part of
them
the Challenger.
diving for it,
Yeah,
and like you could see like the insulation and all the
Yeah.
wiring and stuff, but nobody
the
knew.
honeycomb pattern.
Yeah,
yeah.
Nobody. I see. I didn't follow up on it to figure out what it was, but now you said that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
So
I didn't even know that was the Challenger. That's cool.
So with Cape Canaveral being within,
Yeah.
you know, a drop side away, I guess.
Yeah.
Who knows if this was something from NASA that got
Yeah, it just came out of
ejected?
nowhere.
You know,
Which-
or-
Sorry, kind of speaking on that, I want to say real quick, the amount of technology that we're getting that it's like ground penetrating radar or
Mhm.
I think where it maps like however many feet below.
LiDAR scanning
Yeah.
that they use over the trees.
Yeah, metal
Or
detecting, all sorts of stuff like that.
That the LiDAR fascinates me because they can take that into a plane, scan like a jungle, and that LiDAR will penetrate the jungle and it'll take it all the way down to the ground and they
Yep.
can find like structures.
Yeah,
and
pretty
stuff.
amazing.
That's so amazing.
So to me, it's just like go to those. Makes me think. Why can't they fly over like desert, and maybe penetrate the ground and see if there's any structures just under the sand, like feet under the sand. You know what I'm saying? Anyways,
I showed up to your event in Mine Opportunity and Missed by You.
hey, it's not our responsibility to get pictures sent to us from our fans. The fans that are supposed to give their pictures to us. Just saying.
So, with the NASA thing, they also assumed that they had found a spy satellite of the USSR. But as a result, they came to the conclusion that they just got a strange souvenir and took it home. Like anything else, you take it home.
Yeah.
What's the worst that
Who
could
wants
happen?
this shiny bond? Take it out. It's pure silver. Yeah, right. We're gonna be rich.
There at the home, the sphere lay for a couple of weeks, forgotten by all the family members. But that's where the fun just begins.
Dun, dun, dun.
The artifact was once again recalled when the student's son decided to play the guitar to entertain his girlfriend. According to Terry, let's see. Okay, whoever wrote this article is stupid.
Read mine.
That's fine. I'll push through here.
All right.
So Terry was playing his guitar, and the ball started pulsating sounds, and that resulted in a hum.
Yeah, it was vibrating like a tuning fork.
Yes, like a tuning fork, which is a very distinct kind of,
Right.
His father compared the sound of the sphere to the playing of a ukulele, although he admitted that the sound was still very different from it. At the same time, there was probably a resonance that could not be detected by the human ear. So, which is very peculiar because if you think about like those I can't remember what they're called. They're the little metal balls that have like that chime in them.
Oh, yeah.
They rotate them against each other and they
Like the Chinese
Benoit
magnet
ball.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
is that what they
yeah.
are?
Something like that. I think that's what you're talking about. I would just always call them the Chinese metal balls or
Yeah,
magnetic balls or whatever. I don't know.
But those things, like whenever I see the sphere, when they talk about that low resonance hum, that's what I would think of. It's
Right.
That wine, or
Well-
like when you run your finger on a wine glass that's got water in it.
And like the dog heard it. It was disturbing the dog.
Yeah.
So we
What
could
frequency?
hear it. The dog could hear it. So that kind of makes me think, right? Like, so there's different spectrums on what we can see and what we can hear,
Yes.
or what we can and cannot,
Yeah.
see or hear. So it's just thinking is so maybe this ball just had that ability to have access to those different spectrums. And it was saying that they let the ball in the sunlight, the windowsill, for however, I think you said weeks, right?
I think it was just, I don't remember how long.
Well, however long it was, wondering if maybe the ball got a charge from the sun. Guy starts vibrating the cord and it's like, whoa, that sounds familiar. Wakes it up, and now it's active, right? So, we've had this discussion many times where sound, vibration, can move objects, can start whatever up.
Yeah.
So that tells me whatever they were doing was early experimentation with sound.
Yeah.
Now, whether they didn't know it or not.
Or activating the sphere for its main purpose.
Yes, possibly.
You think about, okay, let's talk about ancient alien theories. With a lot of these locations that are out there, these historic locations, they're built, and we discussed this with Spurrier.
Yeah, true.
They're built to resonate at a certain frequency.
Yeah.
And it's not like they had the technology. That's my point.
Okay.
They didn't have the technology really or they shouldn't have had the technology to really know that frequency, know that tone precisely.
So what if you just got lucky and played the right note? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And, there's a certain frequency that is said to be universal. It is the universal
430
harmony or the universal hum.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Um,
So what if he accidentally tapped into that song? Because he was probably just playing his guitar and it wasn't just the one note.
Well, they say it's like a F sharp or an F flat or something like that. But
he began strumming his guitar and that's when it started.
And
So I bet
he hit an F.
Yes. He hit a certain note or a certain pattern or something, and boom, ball comes to life.
And I'm sure nobody really tested or made note of what note that they were getting.
Right. Well, yeah, because he wouldn't know. So that tells me is like, and we'll get into this later. It doesn't really say in depth. The military did, or the government, military, whatever, they did research on it. Other scientists did research on it,
which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yes. So it makes you think is like, did these people not think about using sound and vibration to work with the ball, or did they not even put it in sunlight to charge it up?
Or did they not want to acknowledge that?
Good point.
So, all right, let's continue here.
So, Pass the Dog. Days later, April 15th, 1974, edition of the Palm Beach Post, Gary Betz was quoted as saying, "There must be a high frequency waves from it. When we put our poodle beside the ball, she whimpers and puts her paws over her ears." So it was emitting quite a sound for the dog to be affected by it.
I wonder if it was like a dog whistle kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because dogs, dogs, like animals, can see crap we can't see.
Yeah.
They can obviously see stuff we can't see, or
hear
stuff we can't hear.
Yeah.
So it's just like that same thing. What if that ball had access to whatever sounds? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And goes on to say, in the days that followed this strong performance, the Betz family began to notice some of the sphere's other peculiar attributes.
Absolutely.
They observed that when the orb was pushed across the floor, it would just stop, vibrate for a moment, change direction, often more than once, and invariably return to whoever first rolled it. In one unprecedented circumstance, it rolled for 12 minutes straight without a single pause. On its own, by the way. This is just, the ball's going by itself. So how do you explain that?
And they were also trying different experiments with it. One of the things they did was they laid it on a table. And when the table was tilted, normally you would think the ball would roll to the lower side and fall off the table.
Right.
But when the table was tilted, the ball began to roll up the table as not to fall. So it seemed that the ball wanted to go down from the platform, but at the same time, categorically, does not. So it doesn't, like, it wanted it off the table, but it didn't want to fall off the table. You know what I mean?
And so this other part too, where this is kind of what I was getting with the whole sunlight thing. As if those experiments weren't astounding enough, they realized that the sphere was being responsive to weather conditions.
Yes.
Becoming noticeably more active on bright days as opposed to overcast ones, as if it were being directly affected by solar energy. Although it was clearly influenced by sunlight, the sphere did not register any obvious changes when exposed to direct heat or infrared light. So the fact that it was like pulling maybe energy from that or something, because that's what makes me think. Because
and now that you're thinking energy, another thing that they noticed was the magnetism of the ball. At first they would stick a paperclip to the ball and they could easily pull it off, but then when they, I think when the sun, was it when he hit it with a hammer or were they? No, it was when they were rolling it. Yeah. When it would roll, it would build up this magnetic field. Yeah. And it built up so much of mayonnaise lid stuck to the ball, and they could not pry it off. Yeah. It was that magnetic. So a lot of questions started.
Yeah, it was when he hit it with the hammer, resulted just in like a bell-like ringing sound. Is what had happened. But yeah, absolutely, a lot of questions. They did notice that a particular spot on the ball was highly magnetic compared to other spots on the ball. And then in another attempt, the sphere would consistently roll right to the precipice of a glass surface of the table, pause, and then reverse direction. Did you already read that?
No.
Yeah. So, and it would stop again at the other edge and then maneuver back the other way like it was trying not to fall off the table. So that to me, maybe intelligence. Maybe.
Or driving force.
Yeah.
So at this point, they hadn't contacted. I spit on myself.
Nice.
At this point, they didn't contact anybody about the ball, but their curiosity was there, and soon they decided, you know what, we need somebody to put some eyes on this. So they contacted a local person to check this out. They first contacted the editors of the local edition of the Jacksonville Journal. Lon Enger, who was a reporter and the photographer, saw with his own eyes the tricks performed by the sphere and wrote an article that became a real sensation. The New York Times and London's Daily Telegraph sent their journalists for information. Military personnel and scientists from all types began to flock to Florida. They were getting phone calls. Like, again, think back in '74, there was no call waiting. There was not really much of a voicemail system. Like, you may have had the recording thing. You may not have. I think that was the early days of it. But so if you were trying to get information, you couldn't get through. No calls could get through. So at first they refused to give the ball up for study. Some researchers spent days in the house trying to uncover the secrets of the artifact on the spot. But soon the Floridians changed their position, and the fact is that the mysterious phenomena had become more frequent and more diverse in the house. From nowhere at any time of the day came a music that vaguely resembled an organ, doors and windows spontaneously opening and shutting. So the sphere went on a trip to the laboratories.
Well, and it was so before that, like there was a couple times. One of the times that they would shake the ball vigorously, and place it on the ground, and it felt like a huge Mexican jumping bean, which was trying to get away from you.
Yeah,
like trying to get don't do that, oh god, get kind of disoriented or something.
Right.
And then, so with that being said, where like the door started opening, all that kind of stuff, they actually started placing the ball in a sealed bag at night, so the object couldn't escape, just to make sure that it wouldn't just they wake up and then boom and leave, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a hostage situation, possibly.
Yeah.
But and then like you were saying, the media got involved.
Yeah. They like they were coming to the house to study it because they wouldn't let it out of their sight. But with all this stuff started blowing up as they were doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
They finally decided, you know what, let's just send it off to get studied. They probably couldn't sleep. I can imagine.
Probably.
Between the phone calls, the worry about the sphere leaving and being gone, the media hounds, all that shit, like that had to be a burden.
Oh, absolutely. Like, so the ball had received such media like it was being reported all around the country. And eventually, obviously, both representatives of the U.S. Marine Corps and NASA contacted the Betz family, as did UFO investigators representing the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, APRO. The visitors often arrived skeptical, but almost universally left both impressed and perplexed by the sphere's bizarre abilities. A U.S. Marine spokesman even went so far as to admit on television that the ball had behaved strangely in his presence and conceded that he was unable to explain its origins. An official press release issued by the Marines publicly stated the ball was not property of the United States government. So the Marines had admitted, this is before the whole Navy tests got involved, that the ball was not U.S. government. So by this point,
you know whose property it was?
And what?
Aliens.
Alien. So let's see here. Go on to, where is it at? Next area. Dr. Hynek in the sphere. Let's get to this guy, okay?
This guy, yes.
So at the peak of the frenzy, a renowned astronomer and ufologist, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, requested that the Betz family send the sphere to his office at Northwestern University in Chicago so he could personally inspect it. But Jerry, where's it? Gary.
No, Jerry. Sorry.
Jerry, with a G?
Yeah.
Refused because she was warned. It is Jerry. Yeah. Because you wouldn't name a girl Gary. That I would know of anyways. But she was, it's in 2022. She was warned that the one-of-a-kind object might be seized or misplaced. A little foreshadowing there.
A little bit.
According to the 1980s extraterrestrial omnibus, the Encyclopedia of UFOs by Ronald D. Story, after notices appeared in the press, Dr. J. Allen Hynek of Northwestern University requested the ball be sent to him for examination. Literally what I just said, so I'm not going to read that. Evidently, this was an assessment that Dr. Hynek, who notably served as a consultant for and had a cameo in Steven Spielberg's influential Close Encounters of the Third Kind, agreed with. According to the report published into April 16, 1974 of the New Sentinel, Gary said that experts she has talked to Northwestern University said it was too much of a risk to fly the sphere to Chicago for examination, which if I were her, absolutely not. That I would make sure that I'm with that ball 24/7.
Yes.
To watch anything happening to it. So to the chagrin of scores of scientists and military officers, the sphere remained firmly entrenched in the Betz home. And that is where the unusual object remained until a bizarre series of explainable events forced the family to wonder whether or not this outwardly innocuous orb was capable of channeling perhaps supernatural forces, which is where the whole things opening, weird stuff happening, which this article kind of talks about that a little bit. Now let's get into the Navy, right?
Yeah.
So following a series of frightening nighttime disturbances, the Betz family finally relinquished the sphere to the scientists posted at the Jacksonville Naval Air Station. The initial efforts of the Navy metallurgists were met with dead ends as their X-ray machines were not strong enough to penetrate the orb, according to the Navy spokesman CPO Chris Berninger. And this is a quote, I guess, by him, "Our first X-ray attempts got us nowhere. We're going to use a more powerful machine on it and also run spectrograph tests to determine what metal it's made of, and there's certainly something odd about it." So, before I continue with the Navy's experiments, and what we know of already, they never tested, at least they never willingly admitted to the public they tested with sound, right?
Yeah.
They just wanted to X-ray it, figure out what the material was, and that's it. Why?
And according to the Betz family, they had them sign a contract, saying that if they didn't deem it government property, that it was made by the government, the ball was to be returned to the Betz family.
Yes.
And what they were looking for at first was to make sure that it wasn't their explosives.
Yes.
So 2 weeks is long enough. I think one day would have been long enough, honestly.
Absolutely.
But to take it for 2 weeks.
Well, I'd be afraid of maybe some of the instruments they were using to test it may change the ball.
Mm-hmm.
May drain it or something.
Possibly. But here's the thing, though. Like, they're not going to tell you what they really want.
Right.
They probably had an idea of what this was or already knew what this was.
Yeah.
And they probably wanted to make sure, like, it wasn't a danger.
See,
or like national security kind of danger.
With me and what we know about sound and vibration,
yes,
I would have continued done tests with that ball, with the guitar, whatever you could find to emit some sort of frequency, and see how the ball would react. Because if the ball came to life and he was strumming the guitar, if he would have continued strumming the guitar, what would have happened? Yeah. We don't know because they didn't test it.
Now, and I also want to throw this out there too, because I think this is very important to keep in mind about this family. They were very well off. These folks did not need money at all.
Like, they were so well off, by the end of it, they just said, screw y'all, and they just dropped off the radar.
Like, they weren't out there for the money. The only reason they were actually getting out there is because they wanted to find out what the frick they had.
Yeah. All right, so let's continue with the Navy's experiments. So eventually the scientists at the station were able to determine the exact size of the sphere was 7.96 inches in diameter, almost 8, and then it weighed precisely 23.34 pounds. They also concluded that the shell of the orb was approximately 1.5 inch thick. Whoa. So 1/2 inch thick, not 1.5.
Half of an inch thick.
Yeah, it was 1/2 of an inch thick, which, according to the report, could withstand the pressure of 120,000 pounds per square inch, and made of stainless steel, specifically magnetic ferrous alloy number 431. Boom. There it is. Magnetic.
Yep.
This alloy is magnetic, nickel-bearing stainless steel designed for heat treatment to the highest mechanical properties and corrosion resistance, which is why that the Betz noticed there was no difference between IR and heat.
Yeah.
It was able to withstand any of that.
And now one of the things they also found out about that metal was that the ratio of components in the alloy did not correspond with any sample of steel on Earth.
Right.
And secondly, the artifact was still a sphere, not a ball.
Yeah.
Because it was hollow inside. So, with that thickness of the shell, what's inside?
Well, it wasn't necessarily hollow.
Necessarily.
They
but
did find...
But to have an outer shell...
True. They did find 2 round objects inside the sphere by a halo made of a material that was unusual density, by an unusual density. They also noted that the sphere displayed 4 different magnetic poles, 2 positive and 2 negative.
Which is crazy, because if you think of planets, there's only 2 poles.
Right, and they weren't concentric, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the fact that it had 2 positives and 2 negatives, kind of like, you have just a normal piece of magnet, you put it against another piece of magnet. I wonder what that could do.
Well, there's a thing you can do. You folks at home can do it if you have earth magnets, like the small ones. A fan out of a computer. Line the sides up with earth magnets, like 3 or 4, maybe 5 earth magnets around it. And then on the fan blades, put earth magnets of the opposite polarity, so it pushes the fan. Then you have free energy.
Yeah.
You have propulsion. You have,
Yeah. So kind of going on with that, the government the Navy confirmed that the ball was highly, highly intensely magnetic, and it did not show any signs of radioactivity, and it didn't appear to be explosive. So they knew it was not any kind of explosive, thank goodness, which determined that it was not a governmental property, even though the Marines had already done that. And the scientists at this point, they wanted to get a better look by cutting into it. But Jerry said no.
No cutting it.
I told them we expect a comprehensive report in 2 weeks. If it can be identified as property, we'll turn it back to us. That's what he said. So the Navy made good on their promises and returned the sphere, but lingering questions remain as to the origin and identity of the object. At this point, the Betz family began seriously consider the possibility that they were in possession of a genuine extraterrestrial technology or alien bugging device, as some of their neighbors dubbed it. According to Jerry, if no other explanation can be found that's as logical as any, who could say what's on another planet? Even speculations have been proven wrong. The Navy says what it isn't. They say it isn't explosive, so we still want to know what it is. So if I were them, honestly, when they dropped off the radar, I would conduct my own experiments.
Heather, we haven't gotten quite to the X-ray stuff just yet.
Yeah, which we'll
We're getting there.
yeah, I would,
Probably get there a little quick. But
which I'm doing that. I'll do that right now. How about that?
how about that?
Right now. Anyways, so I have multiple pictures here that I'm going to pull up. I got to remember brand. So we're going to start with ball sphere number 1, which I believe that was yours. Wait, no, it's mine. Sorry.
Yours are the ones that are numbered.
Well, some of them. So this was the first picture they've got from the X-rays. Let me go over to the explanation of it. So this image of the original photocopy of the first Betz sphere X-ray, and it's cropped by astonishing legend. It is an otherwise unaltered version. Note the 3 equally spaced spherules, one of which is seemingly burst or radiated. In the middle, as well as the varying densities of the interior of the sphere, there appears to be an anomaly between the 6 and 7 o'clock positions, which could be in the shell of the sphere or merely a crease, in the X-ray, which is that weird little bend, kind of thing. I think that's what it is, 6 and 7 o'clock. Oh, it's down below. Sorry. Yeah, I see it. So it's that bottom over here on the bottom left. So positions which could be in a shell or merely a crease in the X-ray. Additionally, there appears to be a hair-like wire line or filament leading off towards the 5 o'clock position in the larger sphere. All right, let's go to image number 2. Kind of a better look at this. So this image is the reverse or negative version of the original image that we just saw. It has been cropped by the astonishing legends to maximize the size but not contrast enhanced. This view is to show the original X-ray would have appeared to the eye when viewing on an X-ray illuminator or light box. So you can kind of see that weird anomaly on the bottom left there where it kind of like bends, and then that weird hair-like thing. So it's pretty cool. Cassie, what's up? Good to see you. And let's go to picture number 3. It's basically the same picture, just enhanced in brightness. You can kind of see it a little bit better. So that's pretty cool. I do like that.
This is like a mammogram.
Yeah, but you do notice, like, when you look at this picture, you can see the 3 weird things, and one of them is radiating off to the bottom left. Yeah. But then you see how there's like a weird dark circle kind of encapsulating that bright bit. So it makes you think, like, what could that be?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So basically it's, like I said, it can show more clarity. And then the next picture is this image is reversed, brightened to real detail, but the contrast is enhanced. So this is just reversed and brightened. We'll show this one off. And this is Betz 4. So just a brighter picture. Now you can really see that anomaly down there on the bottom. Really see where that weird little thing is. So what if, here's a theory, what if that spot was like the impact? And it just kind of like on the inside of the ball, it was kind of like a brain damage kind of thing?
Maybe.
Because I know you and I kind of theorized that maybe the ball wasn't fully at its capacity, because what if it was damaged from the landing?
Or it's just part of a bigger unit.
Yeah.
That.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's go to number 5, which is a close-up of the 3. Now you can kind of see smaller little balls around the radiating one. So what if all 3 of those balls are supposed to be the same size of those small ones, and that big one is just like it busted, like it had an aneurysm and it just kind of blew up?
Or if you want to think about space, the one that's supposedly busted or whatever, what if that's the centerpiece? It looks like it's the centerpiece of the sphere. Those 2 balls are rotating around it like our planets rotate around the sun.
I don't think that one is the centerpiece, because when you look at the other pictures, the centerpiece is the really small one.
Okay. Well, I was thinking like a gyroscope too. Like one rotates like this, and the other one rotates side to side.
Yeah. Now this picture is just a pure picture, just taken outside of the ball, or picture of the ball itself. Like you even look at the shadow that it's.
I think somebody altered the picture because it's not gold.
Well, it's a horrible grainy picture. It's not.
Yeah, like the sphere's actually silver. It's not gold.
Yes, agreed. Let's see if there's any description on that, actually. So these photos were taken by the Betz family friend shortly after discovery the events in order to document its. Yeah, I just think it was a horrible 1970s camera, which, as you know, 1970s cameras are not like, they're going to have that weird grainy like look, and they're going to be discolored. They're not going to be perfect color. So that's why I think it's giving that weird gold. It's like a lens effect, and it just kind of happened. But all right, so let's get to the negatives here. The negative one, it kind of shows like a spherical compartment of each one. We'll explain that here. Gosh dang it. Go here. This is Dr. Mike's. Not Dr. Mike's. So basically, the radar penetrated it. Not the radar, the X-ray penetrated it, and they show that the halos is almost kind of like different compartments. So that was just highlighting like where the rings are, like different.
It's like one of those Russian dolls.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it was also showing the density, like what is it here? The outer layer had barely any density. The middle layer was a little bit more dense, but they think it was hollow. Was that middle layer
like a gel fill?
Yeah, and then the very inner part was very dense. So yeah, what if that middle layer was like a gel filled, where like
kind of like how you have that space between your brain and your skull.
If there was any impact of anything, it was enough cushion to absorb it.
Yes. Like your skull in the brain, there's that fluid layer.
Yes, absolutely. So that's pretty much where the X-rays got. So I'll let Dave take it from there.
Okay. So let's see here.
If there's any final things you want to say? The family pretty much just like disappeared after the tests, really.
So you talked about the radiation, right?
Yeah, we talked about the radiation. We didn't talk about the fair, the science thing they went to.
Okay. So theories and assumptions. After conducting all the available research, scientists began to put forward hypotheses about the origin of the sphere. They were instantly joined by outsiders. So not only were scientists speculating, but then you had ufologists speculating, people in the paranormal field, people that read magazines and all that crap. So Lottie Robinson did an interview with the Palm Beach Post. In an interview with Palm Beach Post, told in detail that the sphere had been lying in his garage for a decade and a half. He identified it from the published photos. How the sphere ended up hundreds of miles away in the burning forest, Robinson could not explain. Basically, he was just kind of saying, hey, this is mine, like the people coming forward kind of thing.
Yes.
The technicians who worked at the paper mill recognized the sphere as the ball valve that was mounted on the largest pipe. This type of equipment was replaced 15 years ago. However, the version was immediately rejected since the dimensions of the Betz sphere and the ball valve did not match. A number of scientists were inclined to believe that the mysterious ball is nothing more than a fuel tank like those used on aircraft. When discharged, these tanks most often burn up during the passage of the atmosphere, but in some cases, the tanks still fell to the surface. I don't know if you've ever seen a fuel tank for an airplane, it's not 8 inches around. Let's see, Brenda Sullivan. This is something interesting. The place where they had found the artifact, there was no indention in the ground.
Huh.
So
it's like it was just
or just probably rolled there. So Brenda Sullivan, a scientist at Arlington Geographical Study, expressed her firm belief that the artifact found by the Betz is evidence of a highly developed civilization that existed on our planet long before the birth of man. mankind, which
Yeah.
that could be a topic for another show.
Absolutely.
Jay Brennan from the U.S. believed that the sphere was a probe launched to Earth by alien guests. Its task, according to Brennan, is to observe the evolutionary processes on the planet. However, the ufologist put forward a hypothesis that the ball still served as a fuel tank, but not on a human vehicle, but on a spaceship. The sphere may be a broken part because of which the UFO had crash landed.
So, real quick though, speaking of UFOs, back in 1944, the Foo Fighters would actually, the Allied aircrafts, started describing frightening encounters with small, glowing, silver-colored spheres in the skies that would, over Germany, would seem to be with them.
Right.
So, could be this one of these, like this ball was one of those? Could be.
Could be.
Because even in today's world, we do see weird spherical objects flying in the sky. But yeah, the ball's only what, like this big?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very, very big. So for you to really see it, I feel like you'd have to get up pretty close, or it'd have to like a really bright shine on it to kind of give it that luminous look.
Now I'm going to play something real quick, and then I'm going to finish the story out for you
Yeah.
guys. Let me just add this to the stream so you guys can see this.
I want to see this. Oh, it's him at the ball. Nice.
Yep.
I haven't even seen this. This is perfect.
So I'm going to play this while I froze.
Yeah. Camera's frozen. There you go. I don't think the Wi-Fi can keep up.
Probably not. Anyway, so they took this ball to a UFO conference by the National Enquirer, and it was a pretty fascinating thing. A lot of people were getting to look at it. Well, Jerry's husband, Jerry wasn't there, but he was, Antoine. He gets a call saying that his wife is in the hospital and he needed to hurry home. Well, he hurries home, but in doing so, he left the sphere there with somebody he thought he could trust.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really crazy. He gets home to find out Jerry's at home, and she didn't call him. Nobody knew who called him.
Right.
But he immediately sent his son back to go get the ball, and it was gone.
See, where did...
Nobody knew where it went.
Yeah.
Until they were asking around, and somebody finally came up, fessed up, and said somebody from the Navy had taken the ball.
So was this from someone's article or someone's video that you got?
This information?
Yeah.
It's from an article.
From an article.
Yeah, this is
that's the first time that I've actually heard that. All these other articles I've looked at,
yeah, they won't say
nothing about.
So they said that somebody from the Navy had taken the ball and took it to a certain Air Force base or Navy base, and it was down in Louisiana. And their son had to travel all the way down to Louisiana, and after a couple hours of fighting with them, they reluctantly gave him the sphere back. But what is said and rumored is that when he got the sphere back, something was off.
Not surprised.
The sphere was not reacting to any of the vibrations, the rolling, or anything. And what a lot of people think is that the Navy made a dummy of it and switched them out. And so then the Betz family basically decided to postpone the radical methods of studying the...
Froze again.
Dang.
There it goes. Now you're good.
Okay. So the family that found the artifact went home with it, and it disappeared without a trace. When the next group of scientists arrived in Florida, the house was empty.
Yeah.
Where the Betz went, it was not possible to establish, although the family was searched for a very long time and diligently. A huge number of versions about their disappearance were put forward, like they were hidden. Aliens had abducted them because they had a part of their equipment and stuff, or the military or government took them out because they had secrets, or they just went into hiding.
Yeah.
A lot of things came up. Where the artifact is now, nobody knows. There's probably replicas out in museums and stuff.
Yeah. That's what I think too.
So let us know. Let us know in the comment section down below after this video. What do you think this was? What do you think this sphere was? And
right. I'm going to stop my camera from streaming so it's not the lag, so the video can play.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Better Malvern.
Oh, after our video. Got it. I thought you were going to play that video of Jerry.
No. Let us know what you guys think about the sphere down in the comment section. Guys, tonight, instead of doing the After Dark, we are actually going to do a paranormal investigation live right here on Boogeyman Radio for you guys. If you want to catch that, more than welcome to jump on. Tomorrow night as well, we are going to be doing a live stream investigation with Josh Hurd here.
Yeah.
And it's going to be crazy. I think we're going to have some cool stuff going on. I think we're going to go for an hour, maybe 2 hours tonight live. So if you want to catch that, it's been active. Had some great things. Next week's show, we are going to do a show on new pieces of paranormal equipment that we are going to be using tonight, as well as some things that we've seen and are probably going to get to play with pretty soon. And so, we're going to be taking a look at some upcoming paranormal pieces of equipment, or pieces of paranormal equipment, whatever. Don't judge me.
Smash bash.
Charles, anything you want to add before we jump off?
No, I still think the Betz sphere is obviously a great mystery that we will never have closed properly. And
what do you think it was, real quick?
Betz sphere? Alien technology.
Alien technology?
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. Or, because of the density, the fluids and stuff like that, what if in the center of it was an organism?
3 little organisms inside?
Or it could be just guts, like the brains, the heart, and the anus.
Yeah, but we can see inside of it. How would 3 little dots?
You ever seen the fish in the that are translucent down at the bottom of the ocean? You can see their insides. I think it's kind of something like that.
I don't think so.
But they developed a protective shell.
I don't think so.
Who knows?
Vibrations,
the frequencies, just their way of communicating.
Nope.
They're going to brainwash you into going forward.
I don't think so.
I don't know. But honestly, I think it was part of a gyroscope or something like that.
Yeah. It could have
engine mechanism.
And honestly, we don't know if it there's no way to tell if it was actually intelligent. You could tell that it had sense of barriers, right? Cars nowadays, electric cars, they can tell where the edge of the road is to keep it in between the lines, right? So that doesn't mean that it's necessarily intelligent, but it just means it has parameters to detect danger. So what if instead of falling off the table, it was able to detect danger?
What if inside was a whole new universe?
Maybe. Who knows? Just like from fucking...
Those little circles were galaxies and shit.
From Men in Black? Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe that's where they got the idea, was from the Betz sphere.
Maybe. Just that idea did come from somewhere where we're just like a ball of marbles inside of an alien's bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Weird stuff. But obviously come back for our investigation. I'm excited for tonight. It's going to be great.
Yeah. We're probably going to start a little bit later than our After Dark, maybe about 9:30, so we can get some stuff ready. Get some equipment ready. And,
I was going to say, it's going to be a fun time. You're going to let us
cold here.
Freeze. Yeah, it's freaking... It is really cool.
In here is fine.
Yeah.
But back
out
here,
there, we'll put on 2 layers of socks, some sweatpants, and call it good. Nothing else. Just kidding. I'm not going to be wearing jackets.
You don't want to miss it.
So if anything touches me, it's going to really have to touch me for me to feel it. Yeah. Oh, you feel this weird cold spot? Everywhere's freaking cold.
Right.
Hey, I'd be more impressed if we get a hot spot.
There you go.
Right. If we come across a random hot spot, there's something different here. Sure it's not your breath? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to put my fingers in it.
Fingers in the hot spot.
Then out of nowhere, you're like,
Oh.
Oh, no.
Why'd you say that? Sorry.
Damn it. All right, guys. we'll see you on the flip. And if you're not going to join us on the live or the investigation stream, we'll see you next week or tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Thanks for coming.
Have a good night.
Take care.